Hey, fellow Wristopians, welcome back to Wristopia. So yesterday, the Erebus Origin arrived and I did a bit of an unboxing. I was a bit giddy and excited. Hope you liked it though. Yeah, we got Jodie and Stevie back as a little embellishment. So where are we? So it's I've now sized the watch. This is kind of, I think I'll call it Erebus Origin Day on the Wrist. I've now sized it. I was a bit rude about Stevie really, but I think he's forgiven me. I was a bit rude about the screwdriver, and I don't really know why. I was like, I'm going to throw it in the bin. Yeah, definitely don't throw it in the bin. And I haven't thrown any Helm ones in the bin either. It was just the excitement. I guess I was sort of saying I'll use my own, but in actual fact, why would I use my own? I used the one that came with it because it was sized for those screws. It's probably better than my my Horotech ones over there. In fact, it is. But well, I used the 140. That was the nearest I had. I think the 120 is a bit small. But yeah, definitely use the one that comes with it. Now the screws are very easy to take out. No damage at all. I actually took two links out of the non-micro adjust side because I felt it gave me a better... Let's pop it on the wrist. So what have I got on the wrist? Let's do a Pitts manoeuvre. If you don't know why I keep calling it a Pitts manoeuvre, it was after a gentleman named Mr. Pitts said that I moved my hands around too quickly. So I said I will make an effort to not do that in the future. And it's a little bit like, you know, when the American cops what they call we call it fishtailing in the UK, but in America they call it a Pitts manoeuvre, where they bash the car from behind and get it to come to a stop. So I guess I'm not coming to a complete stop, but I am slowing it right down. Slowing the offender right down. Yeah, so I've got my Helm Kuraburi on. I've got this on because I referenced the Helm Vanuatu yesterday because it looks a lot like the Erebus. I don't want to do too much. I've got a lot of watches here. I'm not trying to do some weird comparison thing. But I haven't really got too much more to say on the Erebus apart from what I said yesterday, and correcting a couple of things, i.e. being rude to Stevie and about the freebie screwdriver. But yeah, I did mention Helm. I've mentioned that they're my micro brand of choice. The Helm was actually another Jodie bought watch. I found Helm through Jodie. So yeah, thank you for that one as well. I do love Helm. They just work for me. I love the chunky, love the SS2. I changed I didn't mention it yesterday, but the Vanuatu comes on an SS1, but I changed it to an SS2 because they know it. Anyway, this is about Erebus. This isn't really about other brands, but I think it's probably nice to compare them to a couple of the other brands. I think the Erebus is... you know, it looks like they've taken inspiration from four brands as far as I can see. So you obviously got Tudor, Helm, Zinn for the bracelet, and Doxa for the coloured versions. Now, I don't really like the coloured versions, so Doxa isn't really. It's these two brands here and Zinn, which I haven't got with me, and I think that's fantastic. You know, I love this as a, I mean, I think, you know, I was very, what did I say yesterday? I said something like there were no complaints. I think that's what I said. There were no complaints. I mean, there always are complaints. You know, we're all looking for the perfect beat. There always are complaints. What I meant, rewatching that video, in my excitement was, you know, initially there were no complaints. I didn't take it out of the box and then think, ugh. You know, it was very, very nice initially, and that hasn't changed. Let's correct another thing. I did say I wasn't a GS fan as well, and what I meant was I'm not a fan of their very, very elaborate dials. I am actually a Grand Seiko fan. I do like the brand, but kind of running out of... I mean, Erebus are doing it perfectly. 1 of 1. I like 100% of Erebus models, but it is particularly this one that I like, the black. So let's move on to that. I've got a crib sheet over there, but I probably won't refer to it too much. I'll just waffle as normal. Even if I plan, it becomes a bit of a waffle. So here we have my Tudor Pelagos, as I would call it. Now, why have I got this? Well, it's one of the, the models, the brands that the Erebus was, styled. I'm trying to get rid of that reflection. Styled on, I would guess. The reason I've really got this is that the only 2 Erebuses Erebu? Is it Erebu? That sounds quite Australian, doesn't it? I get me, Erebu. If you've got more than one Erebus, it's an Erebu. Is that I chose the black version, which kind of surprised me. But when I looked at them all, it was either the black or the blue Erebus. I've got, having a blue Tudor Erebus Pelagos, it kind of like made me feel that I kind of wanted the black one also to compare it to Helm, which as I keep mentioning, I love Helm, and of course, because it's very similar to a Helm, but with some other really cool factors and yet looking different, more prettier, more handsome, I would say. I kind of went for the black. Now, the problem that I have, let's rule out all the coloured ones for me. Now, my feeling on the coloured ones, someone commented that the indices, the markers are too small, and they are, this is a bigger watch, this is 42. I think on this one, I think the dimensions of, let's just get this out of the way. I think the dimensions of this are really good. I'm happy, very, very happy with the dimensions. But I do think on the coloured versions, because they have a black surround to the white loom, it makes the white loom look smaller. So, and I think it looks too small on the brightly coloured ones. On the black and the blue, if this was an Erebus, this was an Origin, they look bigger because there isn't the black surround. So I think it just about gets away with being big enough. But yeah, just about. But on the other colours, I think they should have. It would have been difficult from a production point of view, I guess. But they should have. If you needed a black surround, I think you should have upped the size of the indices so that the actual white segment looked the same size as that, but with a black surround. Because let's get rid of my lovely Tudor Pelagos over there. Because that is effectively what this is, isn't it? It's a white. I know it's white with a white surround, but when you look at it, it's effectively a white square with a black surround, because the black surround is the dial. So I think on the coloured versions, it should have been that size of loom thing, indice, with a black surround around that, so that the white bits would have looked the same. But that was my problem with the colours. I'm not sure. I can't remember the colour. I'm not sure if I would have really liked a colour now anyway. The thing with the blue, actually, let's get the blue one back. I think the thing with the blue that would have been really nice, whereas this has bits of red on, which I like. The blue one, the blue Erebus, is the only one that doesn't have, well, it doesn't have like a third colour. It's blue and white from memory without looking at the pictures. But it's blue and white like this Tudor is. I think it would have been nice to have added, as this has some red accents outside of the indice and the second hand and the water resistancy there. I think it would have been nice if this had a second colour. Now, I think lime green or maybe a violet-y sort of colour, I think they're two colours that go very well with this type of blue. But yeah, and I think had they had a third colour on the blue, I would have possibly gone for that. I probably would have bought two, to be honest, because I was paying the shipping anyway. So, but yeah, but I didn't. Anyway, so back to the Origin day on the wrist. So what else do we have here before we go? Well, this is we've talked about the helm. We can take that out of the way. The helm, put it right around. The helm Vanuatu. I think that was they are. they are very different. I think that the Erebus is the you kind of, I like having both. I think the answer to questions is always both rather than just one or the other. But yeah, it is. They're very comparable in terms of quality, and I think that, to me, that is a massive thumbs up for Erebus. So let's take that out of the way. So the other one I've got here is the Tudor Pelagos 39, which the reason I've got this here is this is actually smaller, and it looks a lot smaller. Even though I think this, people, if I measured this with some calipers, let's check that reflection. I'll take my glasses off actually so I can see the viewfinder, see if there's reflection there. I think that, people measure this as coming up to near a 40mm, but just looking at them here, this is way smaller. It's titanium, as all Pelago are. Erebus. Am I the first to come up with that? Erebus. I like that. If you've got more, I'll have to buy another one, so I don't have an Erebus, I have Erebus. But yes, titanium, as all Pelagos are, so it's a lot lighter. I really do. Anyway, let's not talk about Tudor. The reason I got this here is this was one of the first Tudors, I think the first Tudor in modern time, well, the first Tudor ever, to have 21mm lug width. So you've got a 21mm lug width on a smaller watch. And I think when this was shown in pictures, when my AD sent me a picture of this, and it was unusual for him to know about it before I did, but he did, and he sent me a picture, and I thought that is a good dimension. I do like that dimension. And I said they're 21mm lug widths. I didn't say, I thought to myself, they're 21mm lug widths. And it so proved to be the case. And Tudor have gone big on 21mm lug widths since this watch with the with other models. So the reason I've got this here is that, how much nicer would that look if it was 21mm lug width? Now the problem is, well, as I see it, I haven't gone out and tried to design my own watch, but I can see it's a minefield, and that's why, maximum respect to these two guys for getting out there, doing it, putting their money into it. I hope it works out for you, because this is a lovely watch. Is that when you change one thing, it affects another. Now the problem, let's get the old helm back, is that one of the things I don't like about the helm, which has a 22mm lug width, is these lugs are really thin and long, and they look a bit weird on a bracelet, but they look very weird if you put this on a strap, which I would not do. And that's kind of the problem. So there's always that thing, if you try to make this 21mm, which would be my preferred choice, but like I said yesterday, I understand why it's not been done, and I do generally really like the dimensions. I think the thing that it affects more is what I mentioned yesterday, is it would be nice if it would be just better. I think these lugs are short enough and chunky enough to withstand 0.5mm off each side, put a 21mm bracelet on, and that gives you a significantly nicer taper. Let's just get that Pelagos 30, because if you look at, I really like this clasp, and if you compare it to the Tudor one, I'm surprised that clasp is so chunky. I mean, I like that, but I'm not sure that everyone will. I think a lot of people might think that that's too big a clasp, and they'd prefer a more, Tudor-esque, thin, long one. But yeah, I would stick with that clasp if it were me personally. And this is really nitpicking. And get some 21mm action going on. But that said, having let's get it on the wrist. Having worn it on the wrist for a short period, yeah, it fits. It fits really nice. Let's do a pitch maneuver of the Erebus Origin. Yeah, I really do like all of the dimensions apart from, like I say, the lug width, or, I would actually be happy with a slightly narrower brace clasp to get that taper. I think taper is the main thing it's missing, and I think it probably is a combination of being slightly wider there and only slightly narrower here, but I do like a nice chunky clasp in that kind of rectangular dimension, so I'm not going to complain about that. Now the only thing, and I mentioned it yesterday, I haven't found out anything new about it that I like or dislike. As I say, I've mentioned the case back and the side profile, the crowns. I talk a little bit more about the crowns the Crown Guards. In the picture format, I thought they were quite sort of angular and jutty outish, which I don't really have a problem with. But the thing I do have an issue with, and I'm going to then look at some other watches to see if that is, I mentioned yesterday that the knurling's just way too, fine. In comparison to the knurling on the bezel, I think that really could do. That's the only thing that bugs me. The other thing is there is a gap between them, and that's fully screwed in. There is a gap. You can't really see it. Let's get some paper. You can't really... Oh, that's not helping much. There is a gap between the crown and the case, so you can actually see your skin through that that gap, both above and below the crown and between the crown and the case. Now, all of those things combined, the crown is my only real, what I would call an issue. But it's not a biggie. It's like, if you look, let's get the helm back again. There's no gaps there because of the way I prefer the Crown Guards on the Erebus. There isn't. I don't think I have any other watch where there's a gap that you can visually see a gap between the crown and the case. And it, to me, like I said yesterday, it just looks a bit like, I think I said yesterday, it kind of looks a bit like it isn't the original crown for the watch, like someone's put an aftermarket crown on it and it wasn't part of the whole design, which I think is a big shame because this has been so well thought out. And all these decisions have been made. There might have maybe there's some compromises with the factory that you have to go down, but all in all, I think it's been very, very well executed, and you two guys should be very proud of what you have accomplished. But as with anything, you do something once and then next time you do it. But I don't think it's probably not going to be a dive watch next time, is it? So, but yeah, that's the only thing I would. I don't know. As I say, I quite like dress watches with crown guards. I'd like a Milgauss to come out, Rolex Milgauss to come out with crown guards. There were some renders of that last year. Thinking, will it be discontinued? Will it be upgrade, change? And I quite like a dress watch with crown guards. I would, if I really, apart from the bracelet width thing, which I keep banging on about, I would possibly shorten those a bit, even though I like them, and just have the crown making more, because when you have crown guards, it's making a real statement, a visual statement. So therefore, having a bigger crown, a bigger, knurlier, chunkier crown, wouldn't really be upsetting the apple cart, I don't think. But I think, and that's really right, so bracelet, let's just quickly go. This is going to be a long video, I apologise. I did sort of struggle a little bit with the tallest micro adjustment. I do like those screws there. I don't like screws on a dial case or a bracelet like with the Cartier Santos. Flat-headed screws tend to annoy me in those situations. But I do quite like the sort of engineering look that they have on the side of. And it breaks up the plainness of it. I do like those big screws there. But yeah, I did, when I tried to adjust it yesterday, I didn't really know, I couldn't get it to move, and but because it was a one and done video. But basically you push it down and pull it out, and it will click back in. So it's got 6 different positions on the micro adjust. As I say, I've taken out 2 links from one side, and it goes in 1, 2, 3 positions. So it's got 2 left. So that works really well. I'm sure everyone will get this to fit them really well. I guess you don't have half links with 8-link bracelets, but I haven't gone into. I'm sure I haven't measured what that micro adjust is versus a bracelet link. But I'm sure people will get that to fit them really well. So I mentioned the crown. I've said that the the overall dimension, the weight. I'm not going to weigh it, but it just has a nice feel to it. It's very, it's not. It just feels very, very nice quality for the money. And I think I mentioned the screwed links and everything else. I was one thing I haven't mentioned. Yeah, yesterday. That's just a funny thing. I remember. I just feel that that reminds me of a ravioli. Is it just me? It's like a big ravioli, which is made me hungry yesterday, and it's making me hungry today. Well, I've got someone knocking at the door downstairs. I think I've covered everything I want to do. Another ramble, but I hope I've sort of covered everything. I hope that's a bit given some more interest and just some more kind of insight into my feeling of having this on the wrist, fitted to my wrist, owning it for almost a day now. And I guess there's a lot of people out there that I know, some people that have it's arriving Tuesday. Some people, they did arrive yesterday. Got another guy I know that's it's arriving Monday. Well, I hope you've enjoyed seeing these videos. I hope it's helped some people a little bit and hopefully whetted your appetite for buying an Erebus Origin. I would recommend it. I'm very, very, very pleased. So yeah, hope you are too. Let me know in the comments below how you find yours, or if this video has been helpful, or if you got any questions. But for now, as I said yesterday, one Erebus, live it.